appreciate you guys making the effort to come out. Makes it worth doing these, and hopefully we get some fellowship going and get to know each other. It's just this, I just enjoy fly fishing. We're just usually a good group of guys. I mean, I see a few exceptions as I look around the room. And you're probably thinking the same thing looking at me, so we're good. Really fortunate today. A couple years ago, Dustin was on the Orvis podcast with Tom Rosenbauer. And I heard him talking, and I thought, man, that guy would be good to have at our meetings. And I thought, should I try calling him? I mean, he's the Orvis Guide of the Year. You're a little intimidated. But not too much longer, I went on a fishing trip down to the Watauga, South Holston, with Jack and some guys. And Dustin was the guide. So we initiated some conversation. I bugged him enough that we finally decided to make the 7-hour trip to come up and talk to us. But you don't have to be in a boat very long with Dustin to realize why he got that award. So I'm real excited to have him here today. He also brought his wife Morgan, so that's a nice treat as well. So I appreciate Dustin coming up. It's Dustin Coffey. He was the Orvis Guide of the Year in 2024. He's going to share a few things with us today, and believe me, when he talks, you should listen, because he's been doing it a little while and he knows what he's doing. So without me talking anymore, this is Dustin Coffey.
Thank everybody for just coming out. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the Trout Unlimited for putting this on, for John Rogas for me allowing me to be able to come up here and just be able to share a little bit of my knowledge. Like I said, my name is Dustin Coffey. I currently guide in the high country of North Carolina, East Tennessee, and then summers in Holdridge, Montana. So I've been doing that for the last 2 years. I've been guiding professionally for 25 years, 15 of which the last we spent building and creating a fly fishing program for Orvis endorsed fly fishing lodge in Rolling Rock, North Carolina. Being with that type of people for that long a time has blessed me with the privilege to be able to spend my time watching people fish. That's what I do, is watch people fish. And yeah, all day, every day. All day, every day. And clients that come up here and they have a short window to make that memory happen. They only have a set amount of time, they spent this amount of money, they got to make it happen this day, and there's certain expectations. Right? And you've got to meet a certain window. And I've had to learn a lot of things. I've had to learn what I call verbally writing crayon. Be able to transfer something that's super hard, right, into a very, very easy to understand way of doing it. Now I'll tell you, it's not in my gift of oration that I have paid my mortgage. Right? So I may not be the best speaker, and I'll try to do my best, but if you can ask questions and stuff like that, I think I do my best with instruction versus trying to read off of yes or awful. But thank you very much for coming out and listening to this. Like I said, what I've learned, what people ask me more than anything, when they hook a fish, when they lose that fish, first thing they do is turn around and go, what happened? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And one thing I've learned is it's never just one thing. It's a lot of things, right? But it's usually something very simple. It's like the Bible talks about, it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. It's the little things that you don't pay attention to. Hashtag meticulous. A lot of people set themselves up to failure from the very beginning of the trip. It starts from the approach of the stream. The moment you get out of the truck, that's when your talk starts. And a lot of people, they don't do the little things that when they get into that heat of battle, right? I call it crisis situation. In crisis situations, you default to your most recent lowest level training. And when you hook a fish, your brain goes, it's a crisis situation. Right? And if you don't have an SOP, a standard operating procedure, you're going to just run through scenarios. You're going to be reactive to the fish instead of responsive to the fish. And if you're a predator, and you're hunting another predator, and you're reactive to that predator, you're lunch. You know what I mean? They're going to beat you. They're going to beat you. Can you hear me right here? Yep. Better? Right. Like I said, you never lose a fish from one mistake. It's usually a lot of mistakes. And you know, I tell people too, the fish never takes you under the boat, right? The fish never wraps you around the rock, right? The fish does not break you off. You did that. The hardest thing you ever do in your life is own your part in the situation. Right? Like I said, a lot of people, when they hook the fish, they'll follow that fish right to the obstruction. Right? So we're going to learn a couple of things that can help you be a little bit more better, a little bit more proactive to your fish. Proper foundation can prevent poor performance. And I call this the basics, but we've refined the basics. And Joe Humphreys taught me this a long time ago. A 16-year-old kid eating a hot dog with him in Charlotte. And he told me this. I asked him, I said, Mr. Humphreys, he told me this, and I said, he's like, Dustin, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be the best fly fishing person I can be. And he said, sit down. And I sat down with him. And he was eating a hot dog, and he told me this, and I never forgot it. He said, Dustin, your most basic technique, refined to the point of perfection, is the most advanced technique in the world. I've applied that to everything in life. And it works. It works. So, like I said, all of you guys have probably fished a lot. You're probably experienced, right? But you can always learn a little bit. You can learn from the person that don't. It might be what not to do, but you can learn if you pay attention. Well, I thank you for your time. I thank you for that. And fundamentals. We're going to the slide. Fundamentals. Basics. Like I said, the most basic technique, refined to perfection, is the most advanced technique in the world. What's the purpose of, why do you fly fish? What's the purpose of fly fishing? There's a lot of different purposes. A lot of people do it for a lot of different reasons. It's peaceful. It's just a fantastic way. I love the fool of fish and eat the chicken feather, right? But I also like to win. I like to know, I like to understand physics, and I like to win. And I've learned that discipline over gear always wins. It's not in how great your rod is, right? I get people all the time, they'll come and they'll start fishing, and they're like, well, I want to use your rod, I want to use this latest rod. And then they use that rod, and they go, well, I'm not used to your rod, I'm going to use your rod. You know what I mean? And that's fine, that may be a point, but it's physics. And once you understand the physics, I can pick up any weapon and do what I need to do. You know what I mean? And that's what it is, basics. Discipline over gear, train your brain. Repetition. I do things all the time, just practice. And it's like I said, it's the little things. Casting position, fishing position, stuff we'll talk about in a minute. Slide 2. Like I talk about line discipline and rod discipline. How many people's heard about stuff like that? Line discipline and rod discipline. Good, because I thought I created that. But line discipline and rod discipline, this is the basics. This is where it begins, is in understanding line discipline and rod discipline. I see a lot of people, they fish the way they want to fish. They just fish the way that they feel like they can fish, and when things happen, they're not in a position to fight. When you are fighting a fish, you know what I mean? You need to be in a position to be able to fight a fish. Like I'll talk about later, a lot of people try to fight a fish the same way they're casting and standing, and we don't need to do that. Casting position, fishing position. Casting position, when you're casting, it's all about dexterity control. Your line should be between your index finger and your thumb. I'll try to stay closer. Line should be between your index finger and your thumb. You should not try to cast in fishing position. This is casting position, this is fishing position. Pick a finger. Casting position, fishing position. Casting position, fishing position. Why? I tell people all the time, this ain't Bird King. I don't do it because it's my way. I have multiple reasons why we do what we do. And I want you to understand the why. Right? I want you to understand the why. So, I'll say casting position, fishing position, keep your eyes on the field of battle, transfer here, and always pull. I tell you, this is your control point. You always pull through your control point. I see a lot of people fish, and they'll just be out here and they'll be fishing like this. They'll stand here and fish. They'll make a cast out, and then they stand just like this, guys. Right? Fish eats, time to set, they set outside their area, boom. They realize, okay, I made a mistake. Now what do I do? 3 things happen from this position. I see they either drop the line, try to make up more. Bent rods land fish, guys and ladies. Straight rods lose fish. Anywhere in the world, anywhere you go. Bent rods land fish, straight rods lose fish. But they hook a fish, they realize, okay, they try to grab slack in the system, fish is gone. I see this. Reel. Slack in the system, fish is gone. I see this. Oh. That's when I'm taking pictures of you. Very interesting. Very interesting. So basics. You don't want to be caught out of the position when it's time to fight. And that shouldn't be a surprise. Like another thing, when you throw that line in the water, you should be expecting a bite. It should not be a surprise that a fish eats your fly. Right. We should be ready for that. So always be establishing that SOP. Casting position, fishing position. And like I say, a lot of things built from this. If you don't do this position, you can't do a double haul, you can't do a lot of the things you'll need later on to cut wind if you try to cast from a static position. And can you cast static? Yes, but it's not the correct way to do it. You don't have dexterity, control, and manipulation like you do trying to cast in casting position, line between your index finger and thumb. Like I said, it sounds basics, but we'll talk about it in a minute, and it's really the fundamentals of it. Casting position, transfer to fishing position. Keep your eyes on the field of battle. Keep your eyes up. Don't look to your hands. There's no data down here. You know what I mean? All the data's out here. The end of the rod and the world, that's your data. That's your two data points that you get from it. Casting position. Like I said, transferring is not working. As soon as the fly hits the water, the game is on. The thing about you as the quarterback, the referee has blown the whistle and the linebacker is coming for you, possibly. Right? You want to be ready. You want to be ready. You don't want to be waiting on it. Always be ready to respond, not react. Like I said, fly fishing, nothing in fly fishing is a knee-jerk reaction. It's a controlled, measured response, 100%. Have an SOP, have a standard operating procedure, do it the same way every time. This is just a good one. This is in Wisconsin, just fishing in the driftless area. Just straight casting. What wrong you did that more than anything? My head doesn't go down. I don't look to my hands. Once I start my stroke, I'm looking at the world. I'm looking at the real world environment. I don't look to my hands to make my position. When I come here, I don't look to my hands. My hand is here. You clap your whole lives, right? Hopefully you can do your Macarena. You clap, right? If you keep your eyes on the field of battle, your hands should know where your hands are, right? Practice that. It becomes second nature. Keep your eyes on the field of battle and make that stroke. Don't look down. You're looking at your hands, you're losing a lot of data. A lot of data. Casting position, fishing position, kicking a finger. I see a lot of people too, when they make that change, they'll come here and they'll just put their whole hand in. They'll put the line here and they'll put two fingers. They'll have two fingers on the line, or the whole line. Well, they'll put four here. They'll just have a line here. Right? Well, if a fish eats, now think about like playing music. Now you got four notes you got to get off of quickly. Right? You're not going to do it. You drop it, you have a chance. If you have one finger, right? I can be dexterity, I can be control, I can manipulate that a lot better than trying to have two. So just pick whichever finger you want, index finger, whichever finger you would like, you have more dexterity with, and go with it. Don't have the line resting on two fingers, because it'll mess you up. You'll catch it on something. I've got one video of me, and I do it, I have a glove on, and my fly line catches on my glove, and I lose a 30-inch steel hook. 2 seconds at a time, so be ready for that. Always have just one finger on the line, don't have two. One thing I like to talk about is rods never, when I say always and never in the context of fishing, I have laid and thought about it over a beer. I have thought about it. Now it's not set in stone, but it's pretty much. A rod, and you guys do a lot of steelhead fishing, right? A rod never moves toward fish. They only move away. They only move away. Do not follow a fish. When you hook a fish, now we'll talk about it in a minute, setting your angle, setting stuff like that. But rods never move towards fish, they only move away. When you hook that fish, if that fish runs downstream, do not follow that fish with the rod tip. Right? Why? We'll talk about it in just a second. But bent rods, land fish, straight rods, loose fish. Right? Anywhere in the world, any type of angling you do. When you hook a fish, your job is not to reel that fish in. When you hook a fish, your job is not to hand line that fish in. Your job is to maintain the angle that you set, and we'll talk about that in a second as far as setting the hook, and maintain the bent rod. That is your job. Does that entail reeling? Yes. Does that entail hand lining? Yes. But your modus operandi is not to reel the fish in. It is not to hand line that fish in. It is to maintain the bent rod. And if you do that, the side effect will be that fish coming to hand quickly. But just maintain that bent rod. And two ways to happen. Like bent rods, land fish, straight rods, loose fish. When you hook one, if you drop slack in the system, you make a little bobble, and that line goes straight, slack in the system, your flies are going to come back, and you will have your flies. Slack in the system. Right? If you have that fish on, you hook that fish, right, and you don't let that line slide through your angle, right, the fish is going to pull the rod angle down. You lose your angle, and you will have a straight rod pointed at the fish. Terminal tackle failure. You will break that fish off. When you come back, you will not have your flies. You only lose a fish two ways. Only lose a fish two ways. And that's a straight rod pointed at the fish. I don't care if it wraps on the bottom. When you lose that, that's when we call that rod is pointed at the fish, you have a correct line. You either have a straight rod pointed at the fish, or at some point in the fight, you allow slack in the system. That is it. Bent rods, land fish. Straight rods, loose fish. Once you hook a fish, your modus operandi should not be reeling or hand lining. It should be whatever I need to do to maintain this bent rod. Never regress. I talk about that too. A lot of people, when they hook a fish, they'll set out of position, right? Like we talked about over here. They'll set out of position. They realize, okay, I'm in trouble, and they try to regress to make up for that. Number one cause of death and injury on the river, you know what it is? Foot entrapment. Foot entrapment. So I see this happen all the time. Hook, back up, trip and fall, hit your head on a rock, now you're eating out of a straw. You know what I mean? Not good. Not good. So, yeah, you don't want to do that. And it happens. I'm telling you, it happens quick. It happens quick. So just pay attention. Pay attention to what you're doing. When you hook a fish, if you're having to make up for yourself, you're out of position. You're out of position. You know what I mean? And you said you've done yourself that way, for sure. So don't follow the fish. Bent rods, land fish, straight rods, loose fish. Two ways. Slacken the system, or a straight rod point at the fish. All right, setting the hook. What are you doing? You're setting an angle of attack, right? So you have to choose a position of power and strength from the beginning of the fight. If you choose a weak position, you're going to be beaten. And I got people all the time. A lot of people will try to cast and fight a fish the same way they were casting. Once they hook the fish, right, they'll fight a fish with their wrist. They'll pull back, there'll be air and opportunity right here. My dad told me a long time ago, air and opportunity is two things you want to eliminate from the fight. Right? So if you have air, if you have a space, you kind of see what I'm talking about? You have a space right here, and you're pulling up on that fish. All your pressure is on your wrist. It's weak. And I'll show a video, you'll show a video before of you'll see a rod just being bounced like that. The fish is absolutely demolished the whole time. And you think you got him wrong. You know what I mean? You think you're doing well, and the fish is just wrecking you. He's straight rodding you every time. The only reason the line is still held is probably because you got 40-pound test on, or 25-pound test on. You know what I mean? It's not from your skill. You know what I mean? It's from a thick line, and the fish is just beating you, just wrecking you down. And that's because you have a strong rod, right? But you have a weak wrist. But people will try to cast the exact same way that they were fishing. So when you set your angle, right, don't use your lats. Don't use your shoulder. I see this all the time. I'll say, set, bam, right? Like I said, now in this position, you're totally out of position. You have no power, no control. And the moment you come forward to operate effectively and efficiently, what did you just do? Slacken the system. You came slacking the system. And in a zero-G environment, which water's pretty much that, your margin of tolerance, that's why we're fly fishermen, right? No offense to spin fishermen, but I like to operate in a small margin of tolerance. Your margin you have to operate in is very, very, very small. With a spinning rod, it's a 180. You can hook a fish, the fish can run away from you, you can be actively retrieving while the fish is actively moving away from you, reach back and have a cold beer, come back and have it. With a fly rod, you hook the fish, you look to your hands, you bobble this far forward in space, disconnect. You just lost the fish. You know what I mean? So it's that, like I say, it's the little stuff, But don't, this area right here, this is your area of operation, right? This little trifecta, from here to your shoulders. Do not set outside of your area of operation, right? If you're high sticking, this should not be your set. You should not use your last. If you're high sticking, there's my set. 85, 95 degrees. You know what I mean? Same thing here. Boom, I'm strong here. You would have to be a bad person to pull me forward in space right here. Right? You have to really think on this. You're not. Now, if I sit here, how weak am I? You're weak. And a little bobble puts you off. But a lot of people, when they set that hook, they don't think about what they're doing. You're setting an angle of attack. Choose a position of power and strength. I found 85, 95 degrees, lock that in, right? This does not move. This is your angle, it stays strong. You have set it in stone. Rods never move toward fish, they only move away. You got me? Now, the line is joint custody. The line must always move to the fish. Remember I say always and never, right? When you hook that fish, if that fish wants to go, you cannot stop a fish, guys, ladies. You cannot stop a fish. You can only turn them. You got me? Side pressure, you can turn a fish, but you cannot stop them. If the fish wants the line, they must have the line. But do not surrender your weapon. Don't surrender your rod. Keep that strong rod. Let the line run through the angle, and you'll beat the fish. Turn the fish only when necessary. And it's fun to turn a fish. Once you see that you can turn a fish by moving it, I see a lot of people, they like it because they see that big three-bender move. And once you hook that fish, you turn him this way, he goes that way. You turn him this way, he goes that way. And you turn him back, he comes off. That's because you turn. That's a wound. in a fish's mouth, and you only move a fish for an obstacle if it's absolutely necessary. If it's not necessary, keep the original angle you set, right? If you have to move, if he's going to obstruction, don't fall into the obstruction, move the angle, but try to get back to your original angle as quick as you can. You know what I mean? You want to keep that original angle because it's a wound fixed in their mouth. Every time you move it, you make it a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and you should be fishing barbless. Now you make a small bobble, you get a disconnect, your margin goes down. So only move a fish when necessary. Keep the original angle you set. Let the fish run. If they want the line, let them have the line. But never strain your rod. Your rod should stay strong here. Now, this is 85, 95 degrees, but that doesn't mean you can't go here to this plane. Doesn't mean you can't go here to this plane. But what you can't do is be weak here. Don't set an angle like this, because they'll beat you. And obviously your rod will boop, 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 and you're just, you know what I mean? And that fish is just destroying you every time. Every straight rod should be a break off. You know what I mean? But like I said, you probably got a thicker line on there. That's the only thing doing it. Elbow down, rod tip up. Don't set with your lats. Elbow down, rod tip up. Now that's a trout set. We'll talk about for fishing coastal stuff. We can talk about a lot of stuff later. There's things to every rule. There's little stuff to every rule. But in trout fishing, for the most part, steelhead fishing, if you're fishing a streamer, elbow down, rod tip up, 85, 95 degrees. Hold that angle. Don't let it go. Yeah, so here shows your angle. This is a brown trout. Pretty good. And he keeps his original angle. Bent rod. It's not a monster fish, but it's a good one. It shows that he's just holding. This is somebody who just came in just that day, and now he's catching a 20-inch fish. You know what I mean? So it shows that certain things go. And you can't hear what I'm saying. It's all right.
Boy, that's a beautiful brown trout. The color on that thing. We'll land him on the right side, Lord willing. Don't follow him. Yeah. Hard pressure back. Beautiful spots. Now just pull right over my head. You're good. You're good. Let him run if he wants to. He ain't never. Don't follow him. Let it slide. Let it slide. Let it slide. There you go. Nice. He got the grit. You see, he's showing you belly, so go ahead and kick his butt. There you go. When he comes back square, he's got his balance back under him. But when he shows you white, kick his A. Okay. Yep.
You get that? If you can see a fish white, shining, he's off balance and going wrong. Take back everything he stole. That fish's head is down. They're digging, let them dig.
You'll see me and react. Just rod hard back. Yeah. Got the grit.
Yeah, they want to put him out. You can't stop them.
Just pull back hard on the rod.
Yeah, oh, they're fine. If a trout was a human being, they'd be an MMA fighter. They'd just punch you in the face and look at you.
Kick his butt. There you go. That's about it. Just back with the rod. Yep. Back with the rod. Yeah, a little bit more you can pull. Okay, so close.
You can't let him pull that rod down. If you hook that fish and he will pull that rod straight and break you off. You gotta let that line slide through. If you ever, that's one I cook with too. If you can ever see the fish, if you can ever see the tip of your rod in your peripheral, you're in trouble. You've got too much pressure on that fish. Keep that rod, you should never see that tip. It should be out of your peripheral. You got me? If you're down to here, you can let that line slide through your angle. You got me? So that's a good little way to think about it. If you hook a fish and you can see the tip of your rod in your fight, that fish is feeding you. You know what I mean? You are whooped. And it's going to happen in a split second. You're going to break your rod, break your line, or something's going to happen. Let that line slide through so that rod comes out of your peripheral. You got me? Okay, here's one. I want you to notice, see what you see. If you can see,
Mine's there. Catch it. We'll try dry fly.
Pretty well.
Dry fly with the needle.
Yeah, this is kind of, when you listen to a second, I can't get that. This is
Which one do you think would be the best chance to catch it?
And as soon as you look at the fish, you lose
Your
it.
needle, baby. I'm going to put that rod back.
This is how they usually go. Yeah. Fish is right by the rock. You see the fish come out in a second. You'll see. Tell me what you think. Straight rod coming to the fish. She held a tight line, her rod was allowed to pull to the fish. Once you had a straight line, right, you have a chance to turn the tackle failure, but also, we'll talk about in a second, if that fish holds third, pull back on your rod. This is what a lot of people don't do, keep a tight line. When they hook a fish, right, you got a bent rod. A lot of people don't equate. They don't understand. It's a casting tool, it's also a fish biting tool, right? And they equate what they feel here with what I'm feeling here, right? It's not like that. She's feeling an absorbent amount of pressure. A hook wouldn't even be stuck in my finger. You know what I mean? So a lot of people put pressure, they'll be about right here and think, okay, I've got pressure on this fish, right? I'm good. I have pressure on the fish. You don't. Most people don't put enough pressure on the fish from the beginning of the fight. They never engage their $1,000 weapon, right? So they'll be here, don't move the rod, just hold that. And they feel like they have a good pressure on the rod. I'm a trout, right? Bent rods, land fish, straight rods, loose fish. Everybody concurs with that, right? Good. Now, I'm a trout. I'm making an erratic move. Straight rod. You know what I mean? You never have a chance. Now, pull back even more. Right there. Bam. Now that looks like pretty good pressure. She can't see it. That's good pressure on the rod. Now, I'm a trout. I'm making an erratic move. Oh, she still has a bend. She still has a bent rod. What does that give you? It gives you time. Time to think, see what the fish is doing, form a new plan of attack, begin execution of said plan. Most people stay reactive to their fish. They never have a chance to get to the second step of the dance. They lose in the first one because in the beginning of the fight, they equate what they feel with that bud, that rod, to what the fish feels out here, and it's totally different. It's totally different. That's a win. There's a shock absorber in that. What you feel is absorbent amount of pressure here. What I feel here is not the same. So don't be afraid to put the wood to the fish. But remember, don't let your fly, you should not be able to see the tip of your rod in your periphery. If you're pulling that hard, they're going to hook you. Let that line slide through your angle. If you do that, guys and ladies, I promise you, your catch rate will increase by a significant amount. You will bring a lot more fish to hang on. Just by engaging from the beginning of the rod, boom, hard, hold a good strong angle, 85, 95 degrees, it's set in stone. Rods never move toward fish, they only move away. If he goes that way, I go this way. You got me? When he stops, take back everything they stole from you smoothly. And here's another thing too. I see this a lot. As fast as you can reel is not as fast as you can reel. You got me? I cook fish and people are like, reel. So that's fine. But as fast as you can reel is only as fast as you can reel without affecting this hand. Remember, this is set in stone. So you cannot, if you wobble, what do you just do? Slack the system. You have a chance for something. Could you have lost it? Yes. Maybe not. But I don't live in that world. I want to control my controllables. And if I have that, my discipline, I'm going to keep that. Set that angle. Fast you can reel is only as fast you can reel without affecting this hand. If you wobble that, you're done. If you're reeling up your line, the end of your rod is shaking like that, you're affecting your rod hand. Strong hand, real smooth, and you're good to go. You want to do the type of casting hand?
What about that situation that you just did when a fish swims at you?
Yeah.
You get a strip line or?
Great question. So that's the cool part. So that's where the best thing you have going for you is the 5 inches of matter you got between your brain, right? And making that quick decision, you have to decide: am I gonna? How can I keep? Because remember, what's your job? To maintain the bent rod, right? So once you hook that fish, if he's coming at you, now you have to decide: can I reel fast with my arbor? Or do I need to maintain back the fishing position and strip using full pulls? No, I see this too. Hook a fish, that question, now I say strip, they'll go strip again, and I see this. You know what I mean? Use what the Lord gave you. Full fulcrum. Get full pulls till you catch back up on that fish. You know what I mean? Don't do this. You know, full pulls till you get back tight and then you're back. If the fish is big enough, that's another thing. Thank you for asking that. if a fish is big enough to deserve the reel, the fish will take you to the reel. Don't try to put a fish on the reel. You know what I mean? Right. A lot of people, when they hook the fish, then the first thing they want to think of is try to get the fish on the reel. Hand line that fish until, because he might not be big enough. I caught fish 6 inches that deserved a fish, and I caught pretty good sized steelhead that did. You know what I mean? So it ain't the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And don't try to put the fish on the reel, let the fish take you to the reel, if that's what you're going to do, for sure. I talk about angles and vectors too. This is another thing, real quick. Angles and vectors. Okay, if you come casting and in your pools, if you come in on an angle, right, that is now a safe, established, and proven vector. You made it in on that angle. You should be able to, in theory, leave on that angle indefinitely, right? Don't come in on this angle, and when a fish eats, leave on another angle, right? 2 reasons. Number one, safety, but if a fish's head is always, trout in general, just through their gill structure, their head is always facing upstream. So if you come in on this angle, right, and the fish eats, you pull it on this angle, what'd you just do? You pulled it out of their mouth. You pulled it away from them. And if you miss the strike, because it's an unproven vector, you're going to shake hands with the sycamore tree, the laurel bush, hit your wife, your buddy, you know what I mean? It's just not good. So if you come in on an angle, that is your angle. That is your set angle. When you leave on the same angle you came in on, right? Don't try to sit on a weird angle. Sit on the same angle that allowed you to come into that position, right? Regardless. If a fish is downstream, and you make that drift, right? You come in here, and you're drifting, and it goes way down, way down, way down. And the fish eats. I'm going to sit like this? No. We'll lose the fish. You're still going to set that right angle, right? Got you. Good. Flying up on, we usually go up to Ontario. This is a tributary, I think it's the Little Sandy, the Big Sandy in New York. You see the gas up and hooked up. The rod position is important. And you'll see he wants to lower the rod, but we're doing, you know, sometimes you do, but there's obstructions. Keep the original angle. Remember, you only move the line if you have to for an obstruction. And on the low angle here, it will just wrap the line around the obstruction. So you keep the high original angle. Fast forward. And you'll see him, he gets ready. You'll see him a couple times what I'm talking about. He holds one hand when he starts to move down the river. And you'll watch his rod just get wrecked. So he's good positioning. He's having to move the fish, so he got by a rock. As he starts moving, there's your rod. You'll see the angle of the rod. See the rod getting wrecked? He's strong with his rod. He's that deal. The whole time, the guy's telling him what to do. Very good position. See that? Now, as long as he's out, it's okay. Trying to turn the fish, you won't start rocking. But he's in a dangerous position. The reason why we're moving downstream, it's always better to have the fish upstream. We land this. I think we land this. Yeah, I think I already showed it. That's okay. He's in a lot better position here, but earlier if you could have seen that straight rod, you'll see what I'm Alright, you want to do canton casting?
That's huge.
Alright, got any questions on this kind of stuff? On this one, I'm going to do another one on canton casting if you want to.
You go much clearer than that.
I'm going to do another one on kite brush patches, canton casting. Anybody got any questions on this kind of stuff before the basics? Go ahead.
So in principle, if you foul hook a fish?
Well, we break them off. So we got foul hook it. But if you want to land that thing, yeah, same principle. The thing about that, once you foul hook a fish, you don't have control of the motor. So you can't turn the head. And remember, if you can't turn them, you can't stop them, you can't control it. So it'd be a hard fight. A lot of stuff you got to land. It's just really luck. You know, like that. If I found and I want to land them, I'll do the same type of principles to try to land that fish. For the most part, it's hard to do if you don't have that motor.
Dustin, I have a question. In that video, why was Morgan carrying everything?
Did you see that? many years. Yeah, she's got to have those.
Questions back here?
Yeah.
So you hit on it for a minute, but could you talk a little bit more, if you're nymphing and you're coming through, at the end of the drift, you're letting it rise, right?
Sure, swinging.
And I lose so many downstream of me, right? So some thoughts there?
It depends on how you're setting. Because like I was saying, when you're drifting down, a lot of people, when they get way down and they're fishing the swing, a lot of times when they eat, you'd be surprised how many go left.
Yeah.
That's incorrect.
Yeah.
Your hook set is the original angle you came in on. So the fish's head is always facing downstream. So if his head's facing downstream and he's below you and you pull left, you in essence pull it out of his mouth. He's basically coming up and you're just taking it straight away. If you pull right, most of the time it comes across him. And worst case scenario, you floss him in the mouth. And I'm okay with that. I ain't breaking that law. But try to set, if you're drifting down and he's here, set the original angle. And the further down he goes, I'm going to pull low to the right. Just boom. And then hold. And then hold. And then, once I got him on, I want to move to that fish. Don't stand in the position where you hook that fish if you're out of position when you originally hooked the fish. Right? Because if he's below me, I want to reel and move down until I can get the fish above me. I want the fish above me if I can get it. You know what I mean? So I hope that answered that question. But yeah, most of the time, from what I tell, if you're not getting them off the get-go, it's because you usually set from the wrong direction, just on a knee-jerk reaction. Because it seems possible, like when you drift it down, you want to think, oh, it doesn't matter which way I go, but it does. It surely does. Great question. You got to know. Go ahead. Yeah.
I keep losing them on jig hook. Is there anything that's special with
Is it
it?
barbless? Well, yeah. So it's a tension, and the jig hook's the same thing. It's probably a small bobble. Just like that little bobble that entices that fish to come eat that jig in the first place. That small same bobble, especially if it's a barbless hook, is going to disconnect it. Right? So it's probably in the reel or the transfer. That's, like I said, it's the little fox that's full of line. Most of the fish disconnect. It's not because of something big, but it's a little bobble. It's a small bobble. So it's usually, I see this a lot, hook the fish, they realize they're out of position, then they decide I'm going to take the fish to the reel. Then they put the fish to the reel, they bobble. Remember, your margin of, that's why I call it, your margin of error is very, very, very small. Very small. So if you bobble just a little bit, that's why I love fly fishing. Like I said, if you learn to fly fish and operate in a tiny margin of error, if you ever do put a spinning rod back in your hands, you're a Jedi master. Because you understand the underlying forces behind what you're doing. You know what I mean? But it's probably, losing the fish on a jig hook, it's probably a small bobble where you hook the fish and you make this much, this much. It's all it takes to do that. So try to discipline yourself and make sure once you set that angle, this is set in stone. This cannot move forward in space. It can move away, it can move away this way, but it cannot bobble in any way. Whether it's by the reel, whether it's you letting the fish beat you. That's another thing people do is, like I said, they'll sit here and they'll have that fighting with their wrists. Rotate that thing under. Rotate this under. Don't fight a fish like this. Rotate 85, 95 degrees. Now I'm pulling on my forearm. Now I transfer my pressure from the weakest part of my arm, which is my wrist, to the strongest part of my arm, which is my bicep. Rotate that under, now I'm strong. Now that fish is not going to take my rod at all. And then once you do that, it'll eliminate the small little bobbles. And it's usually the small bobbles that cause business, especially on jigs.
Oh, that's it. Let me get the net. Big fish.
Ain't as big as your waffle.
Hang on, I'm getting the net out.
What a great fish.
What a great day. Beautiful. Nope. Got it. Got it.
Keep him in the water, I got him.
Got it in the water. Beautiful. you go.
Behind your foot. Did I get the top wet? I don't think I did.
Alrighty. Yes. Deceive me.